Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Um, I'm Michael from the Central Kansas Library System, the Digital Resources Manager, and Elise and Emma from Midwest Tape are joining us. They're some of the support people that have been working with me on Hoopla over the past several years. And just a little bit of background in case you're not aware, the CKLS Executive Board elected not to continue Hoopla service beyond February of next year. That's February 2025. And when Hoopla was added in 2019, the executive board had set it in place as kind of a 5-year project. And the idea was it would give libraries a chance to test it out for themselves, decide if it's something that was right for their patrons. And during that time period, we've got some libraries that really weren't using it that much, and their usage dropped down, and they finally opted out. And we had a couple of other libraries that their usage skyrocketed because the patrons loved it. And so there was kind of an unbalanced model of some libraries were getting a bunch of funding for Hoopla and some libraries weren't getting any. And that's one of the factors behind the board's decision not to continue was that not all the libraries were taking advantage of it. We do know that some of you are either already planning to continue using Hoopla after CKLS ends support, or you might be trying to consider it, deciding whether or not it's right for your library. And so this webinar is kind of one way where you can see what the back end of Hoopla looks like and what it might look like for you to manage it on your own. So we invite you to ask any questions as you have them, either in the chat, raise your hand, unmute and ask a question, just like we're used to with our normal CKLS stuff. And we'll be sharing more information. This will be recorded, so you can watch it later if you need to catch up on stuff. Once Elise starts talking, I'll put some links in the chat with the print version of her agenda that she's going through in case you want to follow along there. And I think that's about it. Thank you to Midwest Tape for doing this training, and I'll turn it over to Elise.
Thanks, Michael. So today I just kind of want to go over some of the key reports that I recommend just keeping an eye on. We'll go over the Resource Center, so where you can find all of our marketing materials. And then we'll go over the reference desk where you can find just all things Hoopla related. So if you ever have questions, maybe it's out of office hours, you can always go to the reference desk. So we will start out here on the main page. We'll click on Hoopla here next to the home button. And this will bring you to the main dashboard screen. This is our test account, so it may look just a little bit different than what you're used to. But still essentially the same. So we'll click into, on the left-hand side here, the new patron report. And this will show you how many new patrons you had sign up for Hoopla month over month. But you can also change this to totals. So this number should always be rising. You'll be able to see a total amount of patrons that have signed up for Hoopla with your library. I apologize if you hear any background noise. I think a bunch of people just got out of a meeting, so you may hear a little bit in the background. So we'll click into, again, on the left side here, the patron and borrows report. This one just gives you an idea of who maybe some of your power users are, or maybe people that are only using one circulation. So you can click into any of these bars here, and it'll show you the patron card number. You can see their email address and how many borrows that patron had that month. Going from patron and borrows, over here on the left, the circulations by format report. This is probably the most popular report out of them all. This shows you a month over month breakdown of how many circulations you had in each format, with the total in that bottom right corner. A lot of these reports too, you're able to enter in a custom date range. So if you're looking for maybe the impact of an event and what that impact had on Hoopla, you can enter in custom date ranges here. You can also toggle over to see total cost. So it'll give you that spend breakdown, and you can see how much you're spending on each format there. A lot of these reports also have this little email button in this top right corner. And this will send you an Excel file with all of that information that's in the report here. So we'll click into trending titles report. This one will show you the top 500 titles that are trending at your library. You'll be able to see here on the right side, since this is our test account, you can't see any of the prices here, but you'll be able to see the top 500 titles and what those titles cost. So it gives you a good idea there. You can also change formats. So if you really want to get specific with that, you can change to audiobook, music, all of the different formats here.
And at least that would be, the prices would be a cost per circ, correct? So
Yep.
each time it's checked out, that's the cost to your library.
Yep, this will show, so Harry Potter, for instance, I think this audiobook is $2.99, so they'll be able to see that $2.99 over here on the right side. You can also toggle over to see all of Hoopla. So if you're ever curious of what's trending across the board, this will show you what's trending across all of Hoopla there. So we're going to go back to the main page here. And we'll click into the second box that says Hoopla Financial. And this is where under total spent, you'll see a live update on how much you're spending each month. In that top right corner, you're able to change your borrow limit as well. So if maybe you're having some kind of event or you want to raise your circulations for the holidays, you're able to click this button here and you can update that at any time. Under where it says total monthly budget, there is the option to put in a monthly budget. We typically don't recommend it, but if you do put in a monthly budget, you could see the budget breakdown here in this left corner. So it'll show you how much you have for the day. You can see month to date spent here. One of the tools that we have available as well, we have a roll forward and a reset month. So if you do decide that you needed to utilize the monthly budget tool, you could have any unused funds just keep rolling over into the next month and the next month, just to kind of help if you maybe see an increase in some of those months. And we also have, oh, go ahead, Michael.
Sorry to jump in.
Yeah.
Is regarding the whole budget thing, the way that if you want to continue the way that CKLS has been doing the budget, we did set a monthly budget based on an annual budget. So if you know a certain amount that you can, the maximum you can spend each year, you can use that to set your monthly budget. And then this is where that would be broken down. So that's something that you could do if you wanted to continue the same way we've been managing it.
And you'll have reports too. So if there are any patrons that are blocked due to that monthly budget cap, down here in this right corner, you'll be able to see any budget cap blocks. So this is our test environment. There's nothing in here for you to look at this time, but you'd be able to see the patron barcode, their email address, and you could see the time that they were blocked as well. So just gives you a little bit of visibility on that. So back into the Hoopla financial section, we'll click into where it says instant financial documents. This is where you're able to pull up either all of those invoices or all of the statements that you've received. So we'll click statement, click run report. And in the bottom right corner here, if your library has a deposit, you'll see a negative number there, which is always a good thing and means you have money to pull from. So back on the main page, we'll click into the manage content section. I always like to mention under content discovery where it says search your current library Hoopla catalog. This one can sometimes take a minute to load because there are over 1 million titles on Hoopla. But I always like to mention this one in case you're doing any state reports or you need to provide digital content numbers. On the left-hand side here is where you're able to find how much we have available in each format. And from this report, if there's ever anything that you just don't want to offer to your patrons, You can just type in that little search bar here, click this checkbox, click block, and then it hides that title from patron view, so they can't see it on Hoopla anymore. So back on the main page, we'll click into this binge pass summary report. This is one of the newer reports that we've added within the last few months. I'm going to change this to last 12 months here. This will show you how many borrows you had on a binge pass, how many patrons borrowed that, but you can also see the amount of circulations within that binge pass. I know the Hallmark binge pass that we have is definitely one of the most popular ones. And I've seen libraries who have had an average cost per circ of like 30 cents for the Hallmark binge pass. So definitely the binge pass I recommend promoting. It's a good way to get more content into patrons' hands without driving up your spending. So back on the main page, right next to that binge pass summary, we have the patron finder. So if you have someone, they forget their library card number or their email address, you can search for either or here. But if you don't type anything in and you just click that little magnifying glass, this pulls up a list of every single patron who signed up for Hoopla with your library. So you can come in here, update their email, library card number, you can reset their password for them. And then if your library requires pins, you can update their pin for them as well.
And for our libraries, the PIN has been the same as their Pathfinder library account password, or if you don't have Pathfinder, whatever your library account password is set up.
So back on to the main page here, we'll go up to the reports dashboard in this top left corner. And really this just kind of gives you a glance of all of those reports that are on the left side of the screen. So if you don't feel like digging into all of the reports, this is a good place to go to. You can see total circulations, amount spent, average cost per circ there. You can also see your cost per circ comparison, so how that compares to either all of Hoopla or just your state. So you're able to change that here. And this is where we get into all of those reports that were on the left side of the screen. So we've got patron borrowing report, total circulations, and circulations by format. This Hoopla Engage section isn't automatically turned on. It doesn't cost anything to turn it on, but just so you have an idea of what it is, it's like a limited trial for non-card holders to use Hoopla. So it's not a free-for-all. You get to set the borrow limits, you get to set the time frame, and once the borrow limits run out, or the borrows run out, or the time frame runs out, it prompts them to sign up for a library card. So a lot of libraries like to run it with summer reading, or some libraries run it indefinitely. It's just a good way to get some more card holders in the library. And you just pay for the circulations like you normally would on Hoopla. And scrolling down, again, we've got the patron and borrows, circulations by format and by category here, unique titles borrowed, and then all the way down here in this patron experience section, this is where you can see how much of the catalog you're actually offering to patrons. And if you had anything blocked for any reason, you could see how much of the catalog you're blocking here as well. And down here, we have the trending titles just broken down a little bit differently. You can see the top 5 at your library and then all libraries. So I know that was a lot to go over on the reports end of things. Are there any questions on reports before I jump into the reference desk? Right. So we will hop on over here to this little yellow help button in the right corner. And under where it says need more help, we'll click into the reference desk there. This is where you can find pretty much all things Hoopla related. So maybe it's out of office hours for us, or maybe you just have a quick question. You can always reach out to me, but I always like to mention this tool as well. So maybe you have a question about a patron report. This will pull up some knowledge articles that could hopefully help answer any questions that you have. But it does show some pictures, just a little bit of description about some of those reports. So it's really helpful here. We'll also click into where it says Hoopla at the top there in that blue bar. So again, this just pulls up some different knowledge articles. You can see manage content, patron platforms. Maybe you have questions about some of the reports. Just has some different knowledge articles there. And under videos, this is where you can register for some of our webinars. We do keep our past webinars here as well, so that you can always look back on, watch on your own time, or if you have any staff that you want to watch them, these can always be helpful as well. And over here in the cases tab, if maybe you're seeing an issue with a report, or maybe a patron's having an issue, you can always enter a case and that gets sent right to our support team, so that we can look into it for you, and then we'll reach out with any resolution that we have. And now we're going to hop on over here to the resource center. And this is where you can find all of our marketing materials. I could probably spend hours in here, but I promise I won't take up everyone's time today. Just some of the key things that I think are pretty helpful. We do have our getting started guides, and we've got guides for just about everything. So how to use Hoopla on iOS. We have Android, Kindle, the Apple TV, Fire TV, Roku, all that good stuff. So these can be helpful to put in places that have high foot traffic. I always recommend just having a few of these printed out. And up at the top here, we have our editorial calendar. And our marketing team tries to update this a few months in advance, just so that you have some time if maybe there's a collection you want to promote, or you want to just put it on your Facebook or your website. We do have some different links you can click on here. Oh, looks like Karen has a question. Hi, Karen.
Hi, I did not see where you went to on the Hoopla tab to get to that marketing and training resource tab.
So we will go to, do you mean from the main page here, or when we went from the reference desk to the?
When you went from the reference desk to this one, did you choose, is it a different website, or because I'm trying to look at tabs here?
Yep, it'll be a different website. I should have specified
Okay.
that, but when you're on the Midwest Tape website, you can actually get to the resource center if you scroll all the way down to the bottom here. And under that interact section, that's where you'll be able to find the resource center. My apologies.
And Karen, I put the link in the chat. It's resources.hoopladigital.com is for the marketing.
So in the editorial calendar here, we plan it a few months in advance. So we'll click into any of these little stars here. We'll click into the Women's History Month. So when you want to promote these collections, you can just copy that URL and then post that, to your Facebook, your website, wherever works best for you. And we do have some support materials to go with those as well. So we have some flyers. We do have some Instagram posts, Facebook posts, lots of different materials for you to utilize in here. I'm back on the main page in this left corner. I think we update this once a quarter. This is where you can see really just what we're focusing on right now. So when summer reading comes up, this will typically change to summer reading here. We've got plenty of marketing materials available for you around that time as well. I know I mentioned the binge pass a little bit, but definitely recommend promoting that. We do have all of the binge passes that we're focusing on right now here, but if you just want to view all of them, you can click right there and it'll take you to all of the binge pass marketing materials that we have available. Lots of good stuff in here. And back on the main page on the right-hand side here, this is updated monthly. So again, just some of the things that we're focusing on right now. We have National Craft Month. We've got Reading Challenge going on there. Lots of good things to promote. But if we scroll all the way down here, we do have some of our printable marketing materials on the left side. So different activity kits, bookmarks. You can always reach out to us too, and we can get some physical marketing sent out to you. But if you do have the means to print things out, feel free. All of these materials are there for you to utilize. Over on the right-hand side here, where it says getting started with Hoopla, this is where we house some of our Hoopla logos. We have our kids mode pin here. And in the last session, I talked a little bit about what kids mode is. So I'm going to hop into Hoopla here just to show you what kids mode is. So you can see in this right corner where it says kids off. One of the things that we've added recently is the ability to put in a pin so that kids can't just go in and, turn off kids mode at any time. We want to make sure that parents are able to actually lock that for their children. If they don't want to turn on a pin, they can just click turn on here. And it just puts all of that kid-friendly content right at the forefront for them, so that they can't see anything that maybe they shouldn't be seeing.
Does it completely hide non-kid stuff, or does it just put it in the background kind of? Is it impossible to find?
It'll hide it for them so they won't be able to see it. The only way I think that they would be able to find it is if maybe they went to Google and typed in a specific title and found the Hoopla link. I think that would be the only time that maybe it could potentially see. I'll have to look into that though, and I'll let you know. That was a really good question.
Thanks.
No problem. We're back on the Resource Center. We do have some marketing materials there if you want to promote that kids mode pin. So we do have some Facebook posts, and then we also have a phone card here. So again, if you have the ability to print out in the library, these could be good to print out.
And just your friendly reminder, CKLS prints color up to 100 pages. If you need color stuff or anything, just let us know.
So all the way down here under Vimeo, this is where you can find our training videos. So maybe you just want a little refresher, or you want to get staff up to date, or maybe put a patron video out there. If we scroll down here, we are working on cleaning this up, but just scrolling down here, we have our how-to Hoopla library staff video. So this is really good if, again, you just want a little refresher or you want to get some staff on board. But we do have this patron app video here. So it's about 7 minutes long, but it can be good to, put up on your website. If you can, maybe throw the link up on Facebook. This is a good one to show patrons just how to use Hoopla. And I think that is all I have. I know we didn't take up the full time, but I did want to leave some time for any questions. So are there any questions or anything that you want me to clarify at all that I could help with? Awesome. Michael, do you have anything for me?
Sure. Yeah, I've always got some prepared ones just in case. So first of all, one of the things we also talked about this morning was I know one of the concerns that libraries are going to have is with the budget side of things. And we had mentioned that the monthly budget is one good way to stay within budget. And there are a few other tools to stay within budget, as well as to help if there are a bunch of patrons that are starting to get blocked. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So our content on Hoopla, the max price point is $3.99. So nothing will ever go above that $3.99 price point. But if you do see, maybe you're spending a lot of money on audiobooks, or maybe you're spending a lot of money on ebooks, we're able to enter price caps. So sometimes libraries will put, maybe they see they're spending a ton on audiobooks. They'll change that price cap to, we'll say, $2.84. So it's the most patron-friendly way to do things rather than lowering your borrows, because patrons will definitely notice if you lower your borrows, but they won't necessarily notice if you just hide that content. So putting those price caps in place, if you ever decided that you really needed to budget or you were spending too much money on a specific format, that would be the most patron-friendly way that I would recommend.
And for at least for the CKLS stats we've been keeping for a while, it looks like the average price per circ is about $1.90 something cents. And so if you keep in mind of $2 is about the average, then that helps you, if you do want to set lower, helps you know exactly where you want to aim for.
Yep. Yep, you got it. Any other questions you got for me, Michael?
Karen, looks like Karen's got a question.
Oh, I was unmuted anyway. Sorry about that. I was in this Vimeo looking at these videos because I'm kind of scrolling along, following here with you. And it's kind of grayed out on my screen, and I can't load any more than the like 10 that are up there. Do I have to log into that account a different way?
I wonder if you may have to clear your cache or clear your cookies, because you should be able to click the load more button. There's no login required for that or anything. I
Okay.
wonder, let me try.
At the top of the screen, it says log in, join, new video. And I clicked right from your training resource page. So,
Oh, interesting. Let me try throwing that in the chat here. And we'll see if that link works for you. Hopefully it does.
So Karen, are you not seeing the read more or the load more button at the bottom at all?
oh, I'm seeing the button. It's just grayed out and it won't let me
Oh,
load anymore.
huh.
Yeah.
What browser are you
I
using?
can from the link that you put in the chat.
Oh,
I may need to update that link on my, I wonder, and it may be because I didn't put the HTTPS. I wonder if that may be why. So thank you for
Well,
pointing that out.
I don't know. I just am kind of trying to follow along here with you. So I just hit the button off the page there and it's just grayed. So
Interesting. I'll make note to look into that.
and I'm logged in to my Hoopla account. So it's all
Yeah,
good.
it should work. I'm going to look into that and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
something else is you might have noticed as we were going through, there was Hoopla Flex that was mentioned in some of the screens, and that's something that our libraries haven't been using up to this point. If you're familiar with the Sunflower eLibrary, it's very similar to how that works with Overdrive, where you, instead of cost per circ, it's more based on a license type model where you purchase a license for something and then patrons can borrow them. And so that's not something that we've been using since we have Overdrive, but again, it's something you could use if you wanted to. And that's another way to help keep costs down in the long run if you were to purchase some licenses for some of the really popular stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of the times too, titles will only be available in Flex at first. It just depends on the deals that we have with the publishers. So I know, for example, Demon Copperhead, that was only available in Flex. And then in 6 months, that title became instantly available. So I usually recommend purchasing those metered licenses, since you'll be able to have that instant copy available for patrons in, whether it be 6 months or 12 months. And those Flex titles work right alongside of the instant titles. You can see here that little lightning bolt, that means it's an instant title. And anytime you see that little recycle symbol, that'll be a Flex title. There are some different settings that, if you were ever interested, you can reach out to me and we can talk about what those would look like. But you can have patron requests, you can have patron requests off, you can have holds, or you can treat it like a lucky day collection. So there are some different options for you if you did decide you wanted to purchase content.
Go ahead, Karen.
So if you purchase content for Flex, is that for overall for anybody or just your patrons?
Just your library patrons.
And at least, do you know, is it similar to Overdrive where there's different types of Flex? So some are metered based on a certain number of checkouts, some are permanent, and some are expiring after a certain amount of time. Is that the same way with Flex?
Yep, you got it. So I think we have less model types than Overdrive does. We have metered by time, metered by circulation, metered by time and circulation, and then perpetual licenses. So we have 4 different license types.
Okay.
Yeah, and you would have full control over all of that in the dashboard. There's the patron request report, so you would have full control over those patron requests for your library. We have our holds report too, so you'd be able to see those titles that are in demand. So there are some different options for you, and we can always have another meeting too if any of you ever have any questions. I mentioned this in the meeting this morning, but if you guys have any questions at all, you can reach out to me at any time. I can put my email also in the chat too, but it's ecody@midwesttapes.com. So I'm always open to, jump into another meeting, or we can have a phone call. If you just want to send an email, that's totally fine too, but I will always be here to help.
One thing that sometimes trips me up is the website is Midwest Tape and the emails are
Yeah.
Midwest Tapes, plural, so keep that in mind.
I think even if you accidentally put tape, it should still send to us.
Oh, good.
I think it should.
That's good.
I figured out how to get into my Vimeo or whatever you call it. I had to accept all the cookies. It was a different pop-up that was in the background. So not on you, it's on me.
At least it's working.
And then we talked a little bit about this morning as well, but if patrons have support questions, is there a way for them to get support with Hoopla?
Yep. So that'll be feedback@hoopladigital.com. Patrons can reach out anytime to our feedback email, and one of our patron support team members will get back to them. And then for any library questions, you can either give us a call. The phone number is 1-800-875-2785. And you'll always get a live person to talk to. It'll never be a robot. So you can call in at any time. And of course, you can always reach out to me as well.
There is also a CKLS LibGuides page that has some of this information just kind of conglomerated together, and it's I'll put that link in the chat as well.
Anything else you have for me today? Right. I know it was a ton of information. So again, please feel free to give me a call or send me an email, and I will be here to help.
Thanks, everyone. And to our libraries, just know that CKLS is here to help you through this transition. So we're going to be around doing this for the next 12 months. So if you contact them and you want to copy me in, that's totally fine. If you want to just talk with them directly, either way, whichever you're most comfortable with. But thank you all for being here. Thank you, Elise, for doing this training.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Bye.
Have a good afternoon.
You as well. Bye.